بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. Welcome everyone to our session on Maraqi al-Sa'adat of Imam Abu al-Ikhlas al-Shurumbulali rahimahullah. We completed the Kitab al-Tahara, the book on purification. We're now beginning bi'idhnillahi ta'ala on the book of Salah. We'll begin reading the text and then we'll go through it bi'idhnillah. قال شيخ إمام الشرمبلالي رحمه الله ونفعنا الله به. كتاب الصلاة. الأوقات 5: وقت الصبح من الفجر الصادق إلى طلوع الشمس، والظهر من الزوال إلى أن يصير الظل كل شيء مثليه أو مثله سوى ظل الاستواء، واختار الثاني الطحاوي وهو قول صاحبين. ووقت العصر منه إلى الغروب، والمغرب منه إلى غروب الشفق الأحمر على المفتى به، والعشاء والوتر منه إلى الصبح، ولا يقدم الوتر على عشاء للترتيب، ويستحب الإسفار بالفجر وإبراد ظهر الصيف، وتأخير العصر ما لم تتغير الشمس، وتعجيل ظهر الشتاء والمغرب، وتعجيل العصر والعشاء في غيم، ويؤخر غيرهما فيه. فصل: 3 أوقات لا يصح فيها ما لزم قبلها عند طلوع الاستواء والغروب إلا عصر يومه، وتكره فيها النوافل كوقت الخطبة وقبل الفجر بأكثر من سنته، وبعده مطلقا، وبعد العصر وقبل المغرب، ولا يجمع بين الفردين في وقت إلا في عرفة ومزدلفة، فللحج الجمع بين الظهر والعصر، وعليه تأخير المغرب للعشاء بمزدلفة. The Shaykh rahimahullah, he says, the times of the prayer are 5. Al-awqatu 5. The first time of the prayer is waqtu subuh min al-fajr sadiq ila tulu'i shams. The first timing of the prayer is the morning time, the time of fajr or subuh, which is from the entry of the true dawn. That is when the light fills the horizon, and not just a sort of the zodiacal light, the kind of triangular pillar that briefly appears and then it goes dark again. So al-fajr al-sadiq, the true dawn, ila tulu'i shams, until before the sun rises. والظهر من الزوال إلى أن يصير ظل كل شيء مثليه أو مثله سواء ظل الاستواء، واختار الثاني الطحاوي وهو قول صاحبين. The time of dhuhr is from the midday, the zawal, until when the shadow of objects either reach double their length, مثليه, i.e. the object is twice its length, أو مثله, or the shadow is equivalent to its own length, سوى ظل الاستواء, minus or excluding the length of the shadow at midday. The second understanding was واختار الثاني Imam al-Tahawi. Imam al-Tahawi, the great Hanafi jurist and muhaddith, he wrote the creed works known as the Aqidah al-Tahawiyya. He preferred واختار الثاني, he preferred the second, and that was also preferred by the 2 eminent students of Imam Abu Hanifa al-Sahiban, Imam Abu Yusuf or Imam Muhammad bin Hassan al-Shaybani rahimahumullah. Then the waqt al-asr minhu ila al-ghurub. So asr starts from either when the object reaches twice its the shadow of an object reaches twice its length, or equivalent to its own length, whichever one of these opinions, Asr starts from that differed timing until the sun sets. Ila al-ghurub. So the Asr starts at the time in which there is that disagreement regarding the shadow length of an object until right before sunset. والعشاء والمغرب منه إلى غروب الشفق الأحمر على المفتى به. And Maghrib begins, the time of Maghrib, the time for the Maghrib prayer begins from the point of sunset until the disappearance of the red twilight. And that is according to what the fatwa is given. The disappearance of the red is according to what the fatwa is given, even though the opinion of the Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah was that the shafaq al-abyad should disappear, the white glow or the white twilight to disappear from the horizon. Anyway, for the Hanafi school, this is the fatwa that's given, and this is the opinion of his students, Imam Abu Yusuf and Hassan al-Shaybani rahimahumullah. The time of Isha, the fifth time, وَالْعِشَاءُ وَالْوِتْرُ مِنْهُ إِلَى الصُّبْحِ. Isha begins, and the time of Witr begins from that point, i.e. the point from which the red twilight disappears from the horizon, or the white, depending on which opinion, until the time of Fajr starts, which is وقت الصبح من الفجر الصادق إلى طلوع الشمس, i.e. when the true dawn occurs. Then he says, rahimahullah, وَلَا يُقَدِّمُ الْوِتْرُ عَلَى الْعِشَاءِ لِلتَّرْتِيبِ. One may not pray the witr prayer, the 3 rak'ah, the 3 units of prayer, that is mandatory, before the Isha prayer, due to the condition of praying them in order, due to the tartib. One must pray them in order. Then he says, now he talks about recommended times to pray. And this is, of course, applies to men mainly. And وَيُسْتَحَبُّ الْإِسْفَارِ بِالْفَجْرِ. It is highly recommended to offer the Fajr prayer when light begins to first appear, the isfar bil Fajr. So that is when there's just a delay, delay the Fajr just before sunrise. Then he says, وَالْإِبْرَادُ بِالظُّهْرِ الصَّيْفِ. And Dhuhr time in the summer, when the weather is cooler. So to pray Dhuhr when it's cooler, if it's the summertime. وَتَأْخِيرُ الْعَصْرِ مَا لَمْ تَتَغَيَّرِ الشَّمْسِ. To pray the late afternoon prayer, the Asr prayer, to delay it before the sun starts to change its color, goes from bright to pale. وتعجيل ظهر الشتاء والمغرب. It is recommended to pray the Dhuhr as soon as one can if it's a winter time, and for Maghrib as well. It's always recommended to pray Maghrib, on its time as quickly as one can. But the Dhuhr time, if it's winter, then one ought to pray Dhuhr as quickly as one can. وتعجيل العصر والعشاء في غيم. In cloudy weather, it's recommended to pray the Asr prayer and the Isha prayer as soon as the time enters. ويؤخر غيرهما فيه. While for the other prayers, to delay them somewhat is recommended. So when it's cloudy, it's better to pray the Asr quickly and the Isha, but the other prayers, it's better to delay them. So Fajr, the morning prayer, Dhuhr, the afternoon prayer, Maghrib. The reason why these are delayed is to ensure that the times have truly entered, to avoid that doubt, as a precautionary measure. Then he talks about the section on 3 times of the day where it is not valid to pray the obligatory prayers before these times. Becomes invalid when it's prayed in these times. So there are 3 times where he says ثلاثة أوقات لا يصح فيها ما لزم قبلها. There are 3 times of the day in which the salah, in which any prayer that was obviously obligatory from the 5 prayers, any prayer from the 5 prayers that was obligatory before these times, the times that he's just about to mention, such prayers become invalid if performed in these times. So what are these 3 times of prayer that are that one should not pray in? The first, عند الطلوع, at sunrise. One should not pray any prayer exactly at sunrise. والاستواء, at midday. At midday, like when the shadows stop shortening and the sun is poised in the sky. And then والغروب, and then as the sun is setting. إلا عصر يومه, except for the Asr of that day. One prays the Asr, but one will be sinful for delaying it that long. So these are the 3 times when one is not allowed to pray any of the obligatory prayers, even though in other times it will be obligatory to pray them before these times. So at the time the sun is rising, at midday, and at the time the sun is setting. وَتُكْرَهُ فِيهَا النَّوَافِلُ. And then he talks about when is it, really disliked to pray the recommended prayers, the extra prayers, the supererogatory prayers, the voluntary prayers. وَتُكْرَهُ فِيهَا النَّوَافِلُ كَوَقْتِ الْخُطْبَةِ. It is disliked to pray any voluntary prayer, non-fard prayer, like sunnah غير مؤكدة or sunnah mu'akkada, nawafil prayer, at the time the khutbah is being given. And then he says وَقَبْلَ الْفَجْرِ, and before the obligatory Fajr prayer, one shouldn't be praying any prayer. بِأَكْثَرْ مِنْ سُنَّتِهِ, because this is the time when the two rak'ah sunnah is being prayed anyway. وَبَعْدَهُ مُطْلَقًا, and after the obligatory prayer of Fajr, without exception. So it's disliked to pray after the obligatory prayer of Fajr is performed. وَبَعْدَ الْعَصْرِ وَقَبْلَ الْمَغْرِبِ, after the Asr prayer is performed until sunset. So these times are disliked. After Asr and before Maghrib, one shouldn't be praying any voluntary prayers. One should not pray any voluntary prayers before the Fajr prayer or after the Fajr prayer. And neither should one be praying at the time of the khutbah, the sermon being delivered by the Imam. ولا يجمع بين فردين في وقت إلا في عرفة ومزدلفة. For the Hanafis, it is not valid to combine any two obligatory prayers in one prayer time, like combining Dhuhr and Asr, or combining Maghrib and Isha. إلا except في عرفة ومزدلفة, except at the time of Arafah, except in the place of Arafah and Muzdalifah during the Hajj. فللحاج الجمع بين الظهر والعصر وعليه تأخير المغرب للعشاء بمزدلفة. The Hajj, the pilgrim, may combine Dhuhr and Asr in the time of Dhuhr on the day of Arafah, and he must combine Maghrib and Isha at Muzdalifah at the time of Isha. So one delays the Maghrib to the time of Isha at Muzdalifah, and one can combine the Dhuhr and the Asr at Arafah in the time of Dhuhr. Then he goes on to the next section, rahimahullah. الأذان والإقامة سنة للأوقات الخمس والجمعة دون ما سواها، وإذا سمع المسنون منه أجاب المؤذن ثم دعا بالوسيلة للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ويكبر أربعا في أوله ويثني باقي ألفاظه. والإقامة مثله فيقول الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله، حي على الصلاة، حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، حي على الفلاح، الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله. ويزيد في الفجر الصلاة خير من النوم مرتين بعد الفلاح، وفي الإقامة قد قامت الصلاة مرتين، ويترسل فيه ويتمهل ويسرع في الإقامة ويجلس بينهما إلا في المغرب. وكره أذان الجنب وإقامة المحدث ولا يجزئ بغير لسان العربي وإن علم أنه أذان في الأصح. ويستحب أن يكون المؤذن صالحا عالما بسنة والأوقات الصلاة وعلى طهر مستقبل القبلة واضعا إصبعيه في أذنيه ويحول وجهه يمينا وشمالا بالصلاح والفلاح. The section on the call to prayer, the adhan, and the commencement of the prayer, the iqamah. He says, الأذان والإقامة سنة لأوقات الخمس والجمعة دون ما سواها. The adhan and the iqamah are strong sunnahs or emphasized sunnahs for the 5 daily prayers and the Friday prayer, but not for any other prayer. دون ما سواها. وإذا سمع المسنون منه أجاب المؤذن. When one hears the adhan being called, سمع المسنون منه, when one hears the adhan being called according to the sunnah, according to the practice and way of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, أجاب المؤذن, he should respond to the one performing the call to prayer, the mu'adhin. Then he should make supplications for the Prophet. ثم دعا بالوسيلة للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, i.e., he should pray to grant our Prophet the high station or the station of mediation. And that's when the supplication is made for after the adhan. الوسيلة والفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة. So one must pray that the Prophet, make dua for the Prophet to be granted the station of mediation or wasila, which is the high rank. ويكبر أربعا في أوله ويثني باقي ألفاظه. The phrase Allahu Akbar is God is great. He said 4 times at the beginning, while the remaining phrases are recited twice, are said twice. ويثني باقي ألفاظه. والإقامة مثله. According to the Hanafis, the Iqama is exactly like the Adhan, except for the additions which he mentioned below. But the words of the Adhan is to say Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest 4 times. Then it is to say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, I testify that there is no deity, nothing worthy of worship except Allah, twice. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, then to testify that Muhammad is a messenger of Allah, twice. Then to say, come to the prayer, Hayya ala al-falah, hasten to the prayer, twice. Then to say, Hayya ala salah, and then to say, Hayya ala al-falah, hasten to the good, twice. May come to success. Then to conclude with Allahu Akbar twice, and then La ilaha illallah once. Now, in the Fajr prayer, for the Fajr prayer, 2 additions are made. Yazidu fil Fajr, as-salatu khayrun min an-nawm. Prayer is better than sleep. That is recited twice. That is recited after Hayya ala al-falah. So one says Hayya ala al-falah, Hayya ala al-falah, as-salatu khayrun min an-nawm, as-salatu khayrun min an-nawm. So that's the 2 additions for the adhan. Now for the iqama, the call to the prayer before its commencement, the iqama, the addition that's recited twice is qad qamatis salah, qad qamatis salah. So after one says hayya ala al-falah, hayya ala al-falah, one says qad qamatis salatu, qad qamatis salah. Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. So these are the 2 additions made. The qad qamatis salah means the prayer has commenced, the prayer has commenced. Then he says, the person making the adhan, وَيَتَرَسَّلُ فِيهِ وَيَتَمَهَّلُ. The one making or performing the call to the prayer should يَتَرَسَّلْ فِيهِ. He should take short pauses between each set of phrases. وَيَتَمَهَّلُ. And he should pace himself. But وَيُسْرِعُ فِي الْإِقَامَةِ. But when it comes to the iqama, he must hasten it. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. So when he does the iqama, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala falah, Hayya ala falah, qad qamatis salah, qad qamatis salah, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. That would be fast. But for the adhan, he will have to say it now with pause. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And he pauses. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. And he pauses in between the phrases. وَيَجْلِسُ بَيْنَهُمَا إِلَّا فِي الْمَغْرِبِ. And he ought to sit in between performing the adhan and the iqama, except for the Maghrib Salah, because one needs to perform the Maghrib Salah as quickly as one can. And then the Shaykh said, rahimahullah, وَكُرِهَ أَذَانُ الْجُنُبِ وَإِقَامَتُهُ. It is disliked for someone in a state of major ritual impurity, i.e. in a state requiring ghusl, to make the adhan and the iqama. He ought not to do it. Though it be valid, but he ought not to. perform them. And so the best thing to do is to repeat it. And then he says, someone requiring ghusl and someone requiring wudu, someone in a minor state of ritual impurity. So it's better to have them be repeated. ولا يجزئ بغير اللسان العربي. It is not permitted to recite the adhan or the iqamah except in the Arabic language as it has been transmitted according to the Sunnah. وإن علم أنه أذان في الأصح. Even if it is known that it is the adhan, even if one understands that it's the adhan, nevertheless it must be performed in Arabic, and that is the sounder position in the school. Then he says, وَيُسْتَحَبُّ أَنْ يَكُونَ الْمُؤَذِّنُ صَالِحًا. It is recommended that the person performing the adhan, calling the call to prayer, making the call to prayer, be a righteous person. عَالِمًا بِالسُنَّةِ وَأَوْقَاتِ الصَّلَاةِ. It is recommended that he be someone who knows the sunnah of how to perform the adhan, as well as he knows the prayer times. It is recommended that he must be in a state of ritual purity. We just mentioned that it's disliked to have someone perform the adhan and the iqamah in a state of ritual impurity, whether requiring a ghusl or wudu. So he ought to be in a state of ritual purity, tuhur, mustaqbil al-qibla. One should face the qibla. واضعا إصبعيه في أذنيه. One should put their index fingers in each ear when they're making the adhan and the iqamah. ويحول وجهه يمينا وشمالا بالصلاة والفلاح. So one turns one's face towards the right when one says حي على الصلاة, and then to the left when one says حي على الفلاح. So حي على الصلاة, and then حي على الفلاح for the adhan. So that concludes the section on adhan and iqamah, as well as the times of the prayer. بإذن الله تعالى, next week we will look at باب شروط الصلاة وأركانها. We will look at the conditions of the prayer and their integrals, their pillars. So I will stop there, and if there's any questions, I will take it. Otherwise, we will begin our session next time بإذن الله تعالى. Okay, if there's no questions, until our next session, we hope to see you بإذن الله تعالى, ونراكم على خير, وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين, والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.